last we spoke, we pretty much gave a rundown on um, a lot of teams' draft needs and basically previewing what we think their their season is gonna go like this year. Now the draft is a couple weeks in the rear view now, and yeah, I typically, quarterback obviously being the most important position in football is the most buzz you get out of the draft a lot of times. This year I felt like what stuck out immediately was just how down, obviously we knew that media and people that were looking at it from the outside looking in were how they felt about the QB class this year. But this year, with aside from Pickett going in early in the first round, and even that was a controversial pick among people. It took such a long time for QBs to go off the board. I think the next one off was Ritter at
Pickett didn't even go early. I think he was the first quarterback taken, right? He got taken at 20. So
a relatively late first round pick, and then the next QB went like third round for which was I think Desmond Ritter after that for the Falcons. And Malik Willis he also got taken in the third round. So
this draft class is definitely not as strong as we've seen the last couple of years. At least as far as I can remember, there's at least one quarterback being picked in the first round or in the top 10, top 15, this year, not a single one. And I feel like there's no clear cut like top option either. Desmond Ritter taken in the third round could end up being just as good as Kenny Pickett. Obviously that's for any draft, but the difference in draft value, I don't know if that's 2 rounds. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see how it plays out for them. Where did Pickett will have a good opportunity though with Pittsburgh. I think his only competition is Mitch Trubisky. So
I guess I don't know that I would say that a lot of these QBs, you didn't even see like you didn't see movement in trading up or anything of that nature at all for QBs. And even with Pickett, people kind of had a hunch that Pittsburgh, having him being a bit of a hometown prospect for them, played a role in taking him. I guess beyond that, quarterbacks like Baker still out there looking for a landing spot pretty much.
I've still been hearing a lot of ties with him and Carolina, or at least seeing a lot of stuff, but obviously it's still just rumors. But what were you saying?
I mean Carolina would be like, I feel like we've kind of touched on Baker before, that it's basically the same thing, that like he's not great, but he's definitely not someone that shouldn't like find a team right now with even Carolina's a good place if they're still interested, considering they don't really have much of still rolling with Darnold, and yeah, I
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. My thing is Darnold, I don't know if Baker, even if he does come play at like a similar level he played at in 2021 or 2022, if it's going to be that big of a difference, or it's not going to get them over the hump, the hump. Like, that's not going to. I personally, I don't think that's going to be the difference between like them making or missing the playoffs.
mhm,
I just don't think Baker's good enough to get that team to the playoffs. If Sam
yeah,
Darnold's not going to be able to do it, not saying one of them is better than the other, but I just don't think there's that big of a difference in terms of talent. Especially if you look at his 2021 stats, it threw for 3,000 yards, 17 TDs and 13 interceptions. So, it's not eye-popping numbers or anything.
yeah. I do think Baker's better than what he showed last year, of course, with
Yeah.
the injury and all. But I totally get um where you're coming from with him not being enough to really put someone over the top unless
Yeah. I think the thing with Darnold was they got him at what did they get? What did they trade for him? Do you remember? Yeah, I don't think it was that much. It was like a third
yeah,
rounder, I think maybe.
yeah, I'm not totally sure either, but yeah.
So I think they were just trying to see if he works out. He's still young, so if he works out, good for them. If not, it's they're not wasting like first round draft capital on him or anything like that. So
Mhm.
um I think he's more of a bridge quarterback and they're more of not rebuilding, but transitioning or yeah, in like a bridge year.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I guess now moving on from QBs, we've obviously already had so much big news with you know how the landscape has changed over this offseason with regarding the wide receiver position, and
Mm-hmm.
the biggest splash there in the draft, I think, was definitely the Eagles trading for AJ Brown. um
That was huge. I don't think anyone saw that coming, but it makes sense for them
mhm,
for the in my opinion, it makes sense for the Titans because actually I don't know because I mean Derrick Henry, you got maybe another year of Derrick Henry at an elite level, so obviously the goal with that trade was their AJ Brown, they're gonna have to trade, they're gonna have to sign. If they kept him, they would have had to sign him to, you know, 20 million a year, 25 million a year. So a lot of money. Um, Pretty much they traded him and used that first round pick to get a wide receiver that they can sign for 10 million a year, so it makes sense from a financial standpoint. But if you look at Tennessee, you got a year, maybe two left of, having the best running back in football or one of the best at least. So yeah, I don't know if that's a trade you make just with the window kind of closing on them in terms of Derrick Henry.
yeah, I mean, yeah, you never know, like as far as running backs primes, it's such a physical position, especially the way Derrick Henry plays it, and
Yeah.
the drop off, of course, can come at any time. Who knows how much longer at this like all time level Derrick Henry has, but um, at the same time, as long as you still have him, he's going to be their focal point on their offense. And of course, yeah, as you said, AJ Brown, um, it, it it made sense for them financially, and got, I think, a similar type of wide receiver. I don't really know how yeah, Traylon Burks, you know, out of Arkansas. So
Mhm.
I think I've read up a bit that he was comped to AJ Brown in a couple of regards. So
Yeah.
yeah, it made sense for the Titans and also for the Eagles, of course.
Yeah.
They're the you know the, they were thought of as the biggest beneficiary in this, considering they got the best player out of it, obviously, with
Yeah. I heard Jalen Hurts push for that trade actually, which is, if we've learned something over the last couple of years, it's listen to your quarterbacks when they want a player. AJ Brown and then Jamar Chase, obviously with the Bengals. So, maybe the Packers front office should take a hint, but
oh
uh,
yeah, they didn't even draft a wide receiver again in the first round.
it's
Yeah,
it's gotten ridiculous.
yeah. I
Like,
yeah, I mean, of course, J, yeah, Jalen
they
Hurts.
drafted Christian Watson. I think he was a second rounder, if I'm not wrong, which is
Yeah,
fine. I mean, he's still, seems like a good talent, at least on paper and from what we've seen in college. But um, with a team that just lost one of the, if not the best wide receiver in football, I think you got to do more, especially with, they just signed Aaron Rodgers to another $150 million contract. So you got to try and put him in a position to win. And I don't think that's, you know, yeah, I just don't know if it's going to get it done.
yeah, yeah. Agreed there. Just obviously it was still with getting back to the Eagles. I think that this move also is pretty big in because a lot of people have their doubts about Jalen Hurts and his
Mhm.
capability as a passer, and yeah, getting AJ Brown there is it's definitely one of those moves where you're gonna kind of see more of what you have to work with in Jalen Hurts,
Yeah.
and playing in the division that they do. I guess I would still favor Dallas a little by a smidge
Mhm.
to win that division, but it is huge in them competing for tops in this division and ultimately getting a home playoff game in the process. Um,
Yeah, I think that definitely the AJ Brown trade is going to be huge for them. One thing I don't like about, I feel like there's so many critics of young quarterbacks nowadays. If you're, people see like a Justin Herbert or Joe Burrow coming into the league and immediately having success, that, they expect that to be the norm. Whereas, transitioning into the NFL is a very big, difficult process. So, QBs like Jalen Hurts, Tua, Trevor Lawrence, I feel like they not got written off, but people were kind of, um, trash talking them the last season because they weren't able to produce. But I don't think they necessarily had the team around them to produce. So it's not 100% on them. Um, yeah, that's just something I wanted to put out there. But
yeah, yeah. Over the last couple of years, we've seen so many QBs make that leap in their second year, and you know that does that does cloud a lot of people's judgments on how early um how early you want a quarterback to like blossom.
yeah,
Not everybody is gonna be acclimated that quickly. Definitely you still have to, there's only so much time you can give them, but
Mhm.
at a certain point you do figure out that he is or he isn't your guy.
Yeah,
But I think that this is, yeah, that's again huge for the Eagles, and they're gonna find out more on if Jalen Hurts is their guy or not this year, with them getting a definite elite wide receiver out of this trade. I think, ever since pretty much, as far as I can remember, the last time the Eagles have had like really um elite like wide receivers would have been the back end of like Alshon Jeffrey's prime.
Yeah.
Um I can't really think, ever since then it's been kind of just middling. So
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, again, this is gonna, I think a lot of people had Dallas, would have had Dallas before this move and be pretty convinced about it. But I think now, it's the Eagles definitely, would
Yeah.
like their chances a lot better. And
Yeah. Yeah. Completely agreed. Yeah. Um, yeah, wide receiver was a big point of emphasis for a lot of teams in the first round. Obviously the Eagles got AJ Brown through trade. And then I think there were four or five other wide receivers taken in the first round. Drake London, Garrett Wilson, Olave, Jameson Williams, Jahan Dotson, Traylon Burks. Was it six? Yeah, it might have been six. Yeah. So it's a very big point of emphasis for teams nowadays. They realize that the NFL is kind of becoming more of a, well, it is becoming more of a passing league, and you need to have talent on the outside to be able to compete.
yeah, I mean,
Um,
I guess in contrast to that, I think a trade that was kind of head scratching was the Cardinals trading their first round, or what, yeah, their the 23 pick for Hollywood Brown.
oh, I completely forgot about that.
Yeah. I don't, yeah, that one I don't know about, like that it was kind of the same goal in mind, because I think they were trying to um getting a new receiver after being unable to pay Christian Kirk
Mhm.
um was what
Isn't Hollywood
caused
due for a payday next year, though?
um
If I'm not
yeah,
mistaken,
yeah,
he
yeah,
is
yeah.
either way. Yeah.
He has like one more cheap season left, but yeah,
So
otherwise, yeah. I just, yeah, as we said earlier, just a head scratcher there.
yeah, I'm assuming they probably wanted one of the, because there were a lot of talented receivers.
mm,
They probably wanted one of those to fall to that pick,
yeah.
and clearly none of them did. So um they pulled the trigger, but I don't think that trade makes sense for either team. I
mm.
I just don't get it.
I get, I suppose, like, yeah, the Cards have kind of had some success with like speedsters in the past, and he has some familiarity with Kyler, having played with him at Oklahoma. But um, maybe the intent behind it was, to kind of appease Kyler a bit, considering he's been upset, seemingly so in this offseason.
Yeah, I
But
think it was, but I mean, I don't know.
yeah.
Get the contract done then, which is obviously easier said than done, but you know,
Mhm.
I don't know. And they lost what they, it was not a waste per se, but they lost D Hop for 6 games now. So it's going to be AJ Green
Yeah,
and,
that's
and
right.
Hollywood on the outside with Rondell Moore on the inside. And Rondell Moore, was he a first rounder last year?
I'm not sure.
I think Rondell was. Let me double check. Okay, no, he was a second rounder, so not a first, but still they spent high draft capital on him. You know, second rounder is a lot in the NFL. And they haven't really utilized him. I don't know if they've figured out how to utilize him yet. You know, I think he's kind of supposed to play that. I'm trying to think of a wide receiver Debo role, but you know, obviously not in between the numbers.
Yeah.
So hopefully they can figure out how to utilize him this season with he should have an opportunity with D Hop being out for a couple of games, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, yeah, it seemed as a whole like this the wide receiver demand in the first round, as 6 went in the first round, was kind of motivated to an extent by just how the wide receiver market has evolved this offseason. Seemingly you had Christian Kirk being paid like 20 million a year pretty much by the Jaguars. So it kind of seems like a rush to, for receivers to,
if wide receiver, well, Christian Kirk would be a wide receiver 1, I guess, right? For the Jags. Yeah, but the demand for receivers in the NFL has definitely gotten up. So, and you can't afford to be spending, if you want 2 elite receivers, you can't afford to spend 30-40% of your salary cap on 2 people for the team. So it makes sense why receivers are so in demand, and why teams are trying to either trade for or draft cheaper receivers and rely on them the first couple of years. But what else? I don't think if we missed anything.
Yeah, I feel like those were.
Njoku got a big deal yesterday or a couple days ago. Yesterday.
No, I actually didn't see that. No.
He got a 4-year, $57 million extension with like 23 million guaranteed or something. So I think, this is completely just sidetracked, not about the draft, but I think with Hooper finally gone, I think, and Njoku, they drafted him in the first round, so they obviously saw talent in him when they drafted him. But now with Austin Hooper kind of out of the picture, and Jarvis is gone as well. So obviously they acquired Amari, but I think Njoku will have a good opportunity this season to kind of really showcase his talents, and I think he'll have a great year.